understanding that motivation isn't real. It's something that, comes, it's something that's going to get you started, right? It's that feeling like the initial jolt, like boom. Okay. Now I'm awake. I see this. I see the future in 5 years. Now I'm going to reverse engineer and go get this. But what happens is, your dog will throw up on the carpet or your kids will get sick and that motivation's gone. So the most important thing in building mental toughness and all that kind of stuff, all those, buzzwords that we all like to use because they're real, is do the hard things first thing in the morning and stay disciplined to that no matter what. Because, if I only operated at 100% capacity on the days that I felt like it, I might as well sleep 75 to 85% of the time.
Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Thank you to Tracy and her team down at Tranquil Turtle Massage in downtown Coeur d'Alene. My wife and I see her and her team every single month for couples massage, and I'm telling you, it is the best thing ever. She specializes in Hanu infusion, Hanu ashiatsu, guasha, and manual lymphatic drainage. If you need a massage to get you feeling good and relaxed, make sure to reach out to Tracy and her team down at Tranquil Turtle Massage. Also mention that I sent you, and you get $25 off your massage package. Also, check out CDA Brows and Body Ink, where Tracy offers the best tattoo brows and plasma fibroblasting tightening with the first ever Aurora Pro Plasma Tighten machine, not a plasma pen. And don't forget to tell Tracy that I sent you to save $100 on your next tattoo brows or plasma tightening. Shawn, you're a husband, you're a father, you're an author, keynote speaker, you're the host of Determined Society podcast, you're a coach, sales leader. You've been featured on Forbes and so much more, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Hey, bro, it's a pleasure to be here. The moment you asked me to be on your show, I'm like, dude, I dig this guy's vibe so much. We're connected with so many different people. I learned that. Like at first I thought it was just Craig, but it's like a spider web of people that, we are connected with. So the pleasure's all mine. I've been looking forward to this all week, dude.
Right on. Yeah, the power of podcasting, man. I'll tell you, it seems like there's so many podcasts out there, but the circle's pretty small, man, I think.
Bro, it's like, listen, I have made so many good friends doing this.
Yeah.
It is something that, I heard you on another podcast. It was that you did. It was just like, at first you just want to talk to some really cool people, right?
Yeah,
totally. I think it was with Brian Covey. You just want to talk to really cool people. And, then you realize like, oh my gosh, like I'm making friends. Like this is really cool.
Totally.
Man,
yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I love to kick my show off by going back a bit. Like, tell me about, where did you grow up, man? What was childhood like for you?
Oh, man, I grew up in Walnut Creek, California, Concord, California, born in Walnut Creek, so okay. San Francisco Bay. And I grew up just loving baseball. I watched my uncle and my cousins play. And it was just something that I wanted to be a part of early on in my childhood. And I remember going to the baseball fields and just watching them, just modeling this amazing competitive behavior. And automatically it was just like, they say it's in your blood. And it's just like, it was ingrained in me. It's what I wanted to do. I mean, I can remember being 2 to 4 years old, and because I remember back then about being on the baseball field. It's strange what I remember.
Yeah.
And my eyes just itching because of the allergies and they're red. And I would be kicking and screaming like for my grandma and my mom not to take me away from the baseball field.
Yeah.
And so as I grew up, that was just something that was my identity. That's what I did. And, my biological father, I don't know at all. I mean, I've been around him a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm a product of a blended household. My mom, not blended, but I had a stepfather, and
sure.
He raised me, and so there was a lot of tough love and a lot of misdirected, I would say, motivation. Right? So it was a negative. It was a negative motivation that I responded to because that's what I thought that was normal as a kid.
Yeah.
Because that's what my dad motivated me as, like, hey, if you're not a baseball player, if you don't make it the big leagues, you ain't SHIT. Like you don't have any other skills.
Sure.
And I always said, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like people like me, I can communicate, like I'm fun. I think I could, use my personality. And he laughed at me. He laughed at me, bro. Like,
wow. So
my whole life I grew up feeling I was useless because I didn't make it to the big leagues. And so, but here we are using my personality, my voice. And I think I've done pretty well in life. So that's just a Reader Digest version of my childhood. I did play Division I baseball at Louisiana State University. Nice. Played in the 2003 College World Series.
Okay.
We got beat pretty bad in that series. And then, I ended up in Florida after the economic meltdown in the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
And I got into teaching and coaching. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a baseball coach.
Yeah.
And then I had my kid. My first child, and he was a baby, and I was never home. I never saw him. You know, I was always coaching somebody else's kid.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I decided, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just get back into sales because I really don't have a lot of money either. Right. I mean, as a teacher, you're waiting for the end of the year balance of contracts. You're like, oh my gosh, I just got a $5,000 check. I am loaded. Right. And exactly. So, I mean, I remember sitting there thinking of ways I could make $55,000. And if I can make $55,000 in a year, our lives are changed.
Right. Yeah.
You know, no, it's not life-changing money. Sorry guys. I was ignorant to fact back then, but,
sure.
You know, I realized, you know what, maybe I'll get back into sales. And I caught on with a Fortune 500 company, HR payroll, sales service. It was business to business. And I went from completely broke to making high six figures in 6 months.
Come on.
And here we are, you know. I do take great pride in me as a salesperson.
Yeah.
High level corporate salesperson. And then now I'm teaching other sales individuals to do the same thing that I did, that are struggling to make a real difference in their lives, man, and in their families' lives.
Man, I love that, dude. And you talked about, I mean, you're a top leader in sales, and in sales, you can sometimes eat like kings and sometimes you have top ramen months, man. I've done sales for like 20 years, man. And some months are really good and some of them aren't so well, but what's the greatest lesson that you've learned being in sales?
Man, don't get too high. Don't get too low, bro.
Yeah.
You know, because like, here's the thing. You're going, like you said, you're going to have those months where you're just like, man, I'm full, I'm a king.
Yeah.
And you're going to have those months that are just really bad. And so it's very important, two things when those things happen, right? One, recognize that it's not forever.
Yep.
Okay. You're not going to hit 1,000. You're not going to bat 1,000 every single time. You know, you're going to strike out. You're going to make out, period. End of story. But then I think you go a little bit deeper and understand, and you can recognize this as a salesperson. Why did I have a bad month? Mm-hmm. It's because I was full, right? Maybe after that big month, I didn't prospect and I didn't have the activity like I did the 2 to 3 months prior to that big month I just had. So then you remember, okay, I got to go hit off the tee every single day. And that's a metaphor for people listening about baseball. You know, when you're going well, you tend to stray away from the fundamentals that got you to where you're at, right? Then you struggle. So I think that's the second thing that I really focus on is like, okay, one, this is not going to last forever. Two, how could you have controlled this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's power in that, you know?
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely, man. And it does take a certain mindset and mental toughness to be successful in sales and life and in business. What do you feel are the keys to developing the right mindset and mental toughness to achieving anything, really?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is discipline, right? Yeah. It's the understanding of, I don't know if this answers it directly, but, understanding that motivation isn't real. It's something that, comes, it's something that's going to get you started, right? It's that feeling like the initial jolt, like boom. Okay. Now I'm awake. I see this. I see the future in 5 years. Now I'm going to reverse engineer and go get this. But what happens is, your dog will throw up on the carpet or your kids will get sick and that motivation's gone. So the most important thing in building mental toughness and all that kind of stuff, all those, buzzwords that we all like to use because they're real, is do the hard things first thing in the morning and stay disciplined to that no matter what. Because, if I only operated at 100% capacity on the days that I felt like it, I might as well sleep 75 to 85% of the time. Because I'm not I don't wake up every day motivated. I wake up tired. I wake up, exhausted. And it's not, a lot of people will come back and, well, how's your nutrition? How's your sleep? What it really is when, and you can attest to this because you're such a high level individual. You're in sales for a lot of years and you do this great podcast and you coach people and you give your whole soul every day.
Yep.
You don't recover from that in 7-8 hours. You wake up tired.
For sure.
The key, right. So, the key is to wake up and do it anyway, because it's your purpose.
Come on. Yeah. I'm big on morning routines. I get up at 4 a.m. 6 days a week because I still work that full-time job as of right now.
So do I. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. And it just, I've been it's a great company to work for, and they allow me to do this stuff during the day. But my end goal is full-time podcasting, coaching, speaking, things like that. For you, what does that morning routine look like? And when you do slip off those habits, man, how do you get back on track?
Oh man, it's a great question. My habit is just like yours. I'm up at 4. Right.
Come on.
I'm up at 4 every single day. I'm in the gym, by 4:35 in the morning. I'll have my clothes laid out the night before. I'll put them on, brush my teeth, walk downstairs, take my pre-workout, get my lift shake in, right? Get some protein in me right away. And I go lift, man. And that's it. I lift and then I get home by 6 a.m. God willing, my kids aren't fighting by then.
Sure.
And I walk in. You never know what I'm going to walk into on the other side of that door that early in the morning.
Totally.
I come in and, I make their lunch for school. I make their breakfast and I sit down with them and I enjoy them in the morning, mostly enjoy them.
Sure.
And then when they get to school, it's time to roll, right? When I fall off that track, let's give a current event example of that. The Hurricane Ian, right?
Yeah.
We're sitting here right now in Fort Myers, Florida. And, I would say there's maybe 1 or 2 gyms open in the area and one of them is mine. But it's not 24 hours right now.
Okay.
And they're telling me like, hey, we're open from 9 to 9. Well, it's like, well, then I got like a 3-hour window I can get in there. So I just, I think what's important is when you fall off that routine, whether it's self-inflicted because that does happen, or things happen that are out of your control, you got to think of what can you do? What can you control? And then you control those controllables and then you don't worry about anything else.
Come on. Oh, that's so good. Your schedule is almost identical to mine. So when I get up at 4 o'clock, I'm in the morning, I'm spending time in prayer and working out right now and spending time in personal development. And then I go downstairs and I wake my kids up and I make their breakfast and make their lunches. And then I come up here to work at 8 o'clock, man. So almost identical schedule. That's so funny.
How many kids do you have?
My kids are 12 and 9. Yeah, just 2 right now.
Okay.
We're done. We're not having any more. But yeah.
Yeah, dude, because you're going to go from man to zone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I've that when you go into zone coverage for the first time, it's frightening.
That was our plan too. We're like, dude, we cannot go out of man to man.
Yeah, we got a almost 9, a 6, and an almost 4.
Okay,
and,
wow.
Sometimes it's hard for my 4-year-old because she just got home from daycare. She's like, I want to see you, and I'm like,
sure.
Give me a half hour. They want to see you. That's the blessing and the curse of having the podcast studio at the house.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've worked at home full time since 2015. So the majority of my kids' life, they've seen me nowhere but home. So I've not gone to the office or anything like that since I've, basically their whole life. So they know that I'm just up the stairs if they ever need anything. So sometimes they're like,
you're so blessed.
Yeah. It's fun, man.
That's so cool.
It's been fun. For people that get into positions like sales and podcasting, we start to get a little bit of a rise in, popularity, but then we start to get this imposter syndrome. I know that I've dealt with that before. Like, how do folks deal with imposter syndrome, man?
You have to take inventory of what you've done in your life.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the exercise that I do, because I get it probably 2 or 3 times a week. I'm sorry. It is what it is. We're human beings. We're doing big things. We're interviewing. I mean, I'm on this amazing show with you, right? And, you're going to be on my show soon. And we've both been on big shows and we've both had really big guests on our shows. And I'd venture to say like, hey, who am I, right? What have I done?
Sure.
But what I like to do is just understand that everybody has that. That's a limiting belief. And it was instilled in me by somebody that I love, right? As a child, because I didn't have any tools to kind of say that's a lie, right? And understand my power as a young child. But I think the biggest exercise you can do is you can just write down everything you've accomplished in your life. David Goggins calls it the cookie jar.
Yes.
Right. I call it, I don't even know what I call it. I just write things down, right?
Yeah.
Things down like, what have I done? And then I step away, I come back, I close my eyes and I read that like I'm not reading my own accomplishments. So if it were like Erik Allen's list, I'm like, dude, you're a dude. And then I say, I've done that. That is me. Yeah. Like I've done that. I've literally come out of the gutter, not having anything, losing my house, losing my car in the mortgage meltdown of the 2000s, had to come back to Florida from California, live with my mom for a little bit and struggle without a car. And now look at where I'm at. Like how could anybody think someone like that is an imposter? Right? Because it's like, what have you accomplished in your life? Now, there's people out there that really aren't doing anything. And I'm sorry, let's just be real. You probably do have that imposter syndrome because it's true.
Right.
But we all have these mind patterns and these things that go through our brains of, am I really the dude? Right. And, so to answer your question, like, man, just step away, write it down, step away and just look what you've accomplished. And then like, read it objectively and then say like, wow, that's actually me.
That's so good, man. I never even thought about that. That is so good. Yeah. People need to be taking inventory of what they actually have accomplished and get rid of that imposter syndrome. For you do a lot of speaking with companies on culture and core values. Is there a common theme that you see when companies are struggling with that, and how do they get over that?
As far as the culture, because
Yeah.
they're not winning. Because that's easy. They're not winning.
Yeah.
You know, you have one person winning in an office. Let's think about this. You're in a sales organization. It's highly competitive. You're seen, okay, and you have Shawn French over here. That's high performer, and then you have B- and C players.
Yeah.
What does that do to culture? It destroys it, right?
Mm.
So the common theme that I see is like, okay, this person right here, we gotta work with everybody else and work with this person to get this ship righted. They're C players are never going to get here, but if they're right here, kind of on the coattails of that A+ player, then culture changes. So I do that by looking at their habits. Okay, what's the calendar cadence, guys? Let me see your calendar. Let me see your electronic calendar.
Mm.
So I go into a sales floor and I look at it. Okay, you have nothing there. What are you supposed to be doing right now? Yeah. Oh, well, it's prospecting time. We're supposed to be on the phone. I'm like, well, then why are you talking to Johnny over there?
Yes.
You're disrespecting not only your calendar, but yourself by not sticking to the process of what's going to make you successful. So, you fix culture very simply, checking into their habits and getting them to perform. Then everybody's happy.
So good, man. And my calendar is like to the minute throughout the day, man. I'm like, dude, every single minute has to be taken care of with something. And, there's a couple that have like some of that time is mental, like break time, but like every minute on my calendar has to be filled where I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to fill out that spot.
You're just like me. It's 5 o'clock and I've got 3 to 4:30 open. Better do something.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. It's funny.
So good. I want to talk about your podcast, man, because if folks haven't listened to your podcast yet, they absolutely need to. It's a freaking amazing show, dude. Seriously, good stuff on there. And I'd love to ask this question to other podcasts about why did you decide to start your podcast and how has it helped you in your business?
Wow. Big answer. So I remember being in training in 2020. I just left Paychex, right? It's a human capital management company, human resource payroll, workers' comp, all that kind of stuff. And I decided to tackle the medical industry sales and OR based, right? Operating room for those that are listening. And I did 3 weeks of book work after my last day at Paychex was Valentine's Day of 2020. So you already know where this is going.
Yeah.
Okay? And, I spent so many years at Paychex just stressed. And don't get me wrong, I love Paychex for what it did. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without Paychex Inc. Let's be very clear. And Dan Tuffarello and my wife, who have kept me straight from jumping off the ledge many times.
Yeah.
And start the book work on February 17th for my medical job. 3 weeks goes by. I don't know what's going on because I don't understand these terms, but hey, it's cool. I get to go to Colorado for training. I'm going to learn everything there. Then COVID happened while I was in Denver, Colorado. It blew up. NBA canceled their season. I was like, all right, well, I don't really watch the NBA. No big deal for me, but I like March Madness and they're done now. So we got a problem, right? So they sent us home and I get home completely overweight and fat, just disgusting fat. Okay. And I can say that because I'm honest with myself. Right. And that's from years of not taking care of myself and being stressed. Cortisol levels are high. I'm going out to lunch all the time, just slamming food. And I get back and I'm like, no one knows what this COVID thing really is. I don't know if it'll kill me. I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm going to respect it. Right. Yeah. I'm not going to listen to the narrative. I'm going to respect it. Yep. So I need to start, going on this journey. I need to figure my life out. I need to be here for my kids, my wife. And, so I'm sitting there one day in July, right? I'm like, I just hadn't taken action. I went on a crash diet, lost 15 pounds, gained it all back. I'm like, I need to do something. I need a program, right?
Yeah.
And I'm flipping through Instagram and all of a sudden I see something on 75 Hard. Annie Frisella. And I followed Annie Frisella for a lot of years, right? All the way back to MFCEO from episode 1.
Come on.
Okay. I'm an OG. And, I was like, wow, 75 Hard. This looks very tough. I was like, well, I haven't eaten anything today. So it's not a cheat day. I'm like, let me start this now. So I started that. And on that journey, that 75 days, my mind started, kind of waking up a little bit and be like, dude, there's so much more for you. Like you're not fulfilled just being in corporate sales. Like you're doing a great job, but that's not, you want to make a bigger change in the world. And I'm like, I got to invent something, but I'm not an inventor. And I'm sitting there this whole time, like, and I'm starting to get depressed during 75 because these ideas aren't coming to me. I'm listening to all these podcasts. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. So then I took a podcast cleanse. My best friend, Mike Christensen, says, he's like, dude, one of these days you're going to come up with something really great. He goes, but for right now, stop listening to podcasts. I'm like, dude, it's self-development. He goes, bro, it's messing with your head. Just take a break. I took a 5-day break. I'm driving down the road. Like, I mean, like, it was almost like my brain exploded in my vehicle.
Yeah.
All these ideas. I'm like, why don't we live in this determined society where people have a goal and they reverse engineer what they want and they figure out how to go get it? I'm like, determined society. I go, the determined society. Like, wow, how cool. I'll do shirts. I've done it, but then I didn't follow through with that part yet.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how hard is it to start a podcast? I think I want to do a podcast. I've always wanted one, but now I got something to talk about. Right.
Yeah.
And I went on YouTube and put my information in an Anchor. In 5 minutes, I had a podcast. And I did my show in my car the first season.
Come on.
Growth, man. So that's how it happened. that's the Cliff Note version, bro.
I'm laughing so much right now because our story is still, even like right now, like what you just said is crazy close to mine. I was in Denver, Colorado when COVID hit. I was there the first week of March with the company that I'm with now, and I met them and then I never saw them again. And then I started my podcast, literally had no idea. I was in a walk-in closet almost my first 100 episodes.
I've heard that.
Dude. And someone's like, how do I listen on Apple? I was like, what the hell is that, man? I was just uploading to the YouTube, calling it a podcast, man.
It's so funny because like, if you look back at that, because I heard that episode, it was with Brian Covey.
Yeah.
You guys talked about that.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because I think about that and I like to beat myself up. And, I'm really good at that. Right.
Sure.
Of saying like, hey, you're not where you need to be as far as your podcast, whatever. But then my wife always reminds me, she goes, hey, remind me where episode 4 of your podcast was filmed. I'm like, what are you talking about? Filmed? She goes, where'd you do it? I was like, well, I was driving around my neighborhood trying to get quiet and I was in the SUV. And she goes, now look at it.
Come on.
And it was a solo cast back then, man. I had like 2 guests and it was just me getting out of the gym, getting fired up and venting into the, thing, calling it a podcast. Now it's a production, man.
Dude, it's so good, man. Podcasting has been so much fun to just open up massive doors. My wife, she does the same thing. She's like, look, when you started this thing, you didn't know what you were doing. Now you have people paying to be on your podcast. I'm like, that's right. Yeah, pretty rad. I have to open my eyes a little bit there. I want to talk about your book though, real quick. I mean, you wrote this book called Unstoppable. You're giving it away for free. People just have to pay for shipping. This is unbelievable. What's the journey you take readers on in this book?
How I went from broke to 6 figures in literally 6 months.
Okay.
By utilizing the high performance mindset habits that I put in the book. Yeah. I mean, that's the shot, like the shot to the heart right there. It's like, hey, if you're a salesperson, and you're at, you're not hitting that 100K, 150K, 200K, then this is how I did it, and it's how sales is, man. It's habits. Yeah. It's really all it is. People like to complicate it more, but they need coaches like myself and yourself to be like, hey, this is how it's done. Like, here's real strategy. And that's the cool thing about the book. I actually give, strategy that they can actually employ, not just platitudes. Right. Right. And I didn't know you charged me on your show. I feel honored, man. Gosh. Yeah. Wow. This is like VIP.
Yeah, man. Come on, dude. If it's a good match and fit, I'll do it. I'll take on guests. Like you and I were in the same Craig's group, right? Yep. But when I first started having a ton of people just reach out and say, "Can I be a guest on your show?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no problem." Well, the problem was like it was pulling me off my guest list of that, like my target, right? And I was like, "Man, I got the set target list people that I want to get on my show, and these other people keep going, and I don't know how to say no, right?" And so I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to start charging people. And I started at $50, and then I got a bunch of people paying $50. Then I bumped it to $150, and now I'm up to $500 just to be on my show, and people are paying it. I'm like, all right, man, we'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love it, dude. I think it's great. And dude, I've listened to your show. I still need to go give you a review, and I will.
Oh, yeah, all good.
It's incredible. I mean, like, dude, to even be on your show and to have this conversation with you is valuable to me. So I appreciate it.
Man, absolutely, dude. So as we head into 2023, like, what are you most excited about right now?
I just, for me, that is such a tough one, man. I'm excited to look back in 2023, like in October where we're at, and see how far I've come.
Come on.
Yeah. Right. And how many people I'm impacting. My goal is to impact millions of people. It is not just here locally. I think a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think in 2023, when I look back at it, I've spoken at a big conference, for a fee,
come on, man.
Not
That's
to pay,
awesome.
Not to pay, right? You want me on your stage? Come on, there's a fee.
Yep.
Is owning that confidence, owning my value, and then looking back at it and be like, man, look at all that growth that happened. How many people are living better lives, because of the work that I'm doing for them.
So good, man. I got paid my first time this year to speak on a virtual stage, $50 for a 20-minute talk. And I thought, man, that was the best thing. I got the check on my wall. I'm like, dude, now I'm going to 10X and then 100X that thing the next time I go speak, man.
And you will. That's for dang sure.
I'm a big fan of music. So I love to ask the question, like, what's a favorite type of music for you? Do you have a favorite band you like to listen to?
I'm hip hop, dude. I'm West Coast rap all the way.
Come on.
I mean, I grew up there. Tupac for me is big.
Yeah.
Love it. I do mess around with a little bit of a Lil Wayne here and there.
Okay. Yeah.
Old school 504 boys. I love, the Dirty South rap, the hip hop.
Sure.
It's just, for me, hip hop really gets to me. It is something that if I'm listening to hip hop during a workout, it unlocks a chamber in my brain that nothing else can. If I'm sitting around the house and I want to be listening to country music with my wife.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I would never go to a hip hop concert, but I'll go to any country concert.
That's awesome. The very first CD I ever owned was Arrested Development with the song Tennessee on it back in the day, right? And then I actually got to speak to Speech, who's the lead singer of the band, on my show when I first started this thing, man. It was the coolest thing to have a conversation with him. I was like, shut up, dude.
No way.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. And I've been listening. I'm like big rocker guy, but love listening to hip hop. And I've been really into Hilltop Hoods lately, man.
I haven't heard of them.
They're actually out of Australia. And I was on a podcast. They're like, dude, you got to check out Hilltop Hoods. And I was like, who are these guys? And I got hooked. They're awesome. Hilltop Hoods.
Send me that. Send me that over text. I forgot one. I can't believe I forgot this. Eminem.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You throw Eminem. You throw Eminem in my ears, whether I'm driving or I'm in the car, I'm a different person.
Yeah. Come on. That's awesome, dude.
That's my guy. I love him. He's the greatest.
Oh, absolutely. Shawn, it's such an honor to have you on my show, dude. You're an absolute world changer, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and joining me on, man. This is absolutely amazing. You dropped so many bombs, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to take a listen or a watch. It's truly an honor to be able to speak with such amazing guests, and I hope that they've made an impact on your life in some way, shape, or form. And you can do me one big favor that would be huge. Click that subscribe button, and then second favor, hit that share button. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you. Keep changing the world. I believe in you.